Why are Michael and James in here? Well, they are part of a new documentary which airs next week entitled Football is for Everyone, which tells a story of this very famous footballing family and how they have coped with James's condition, Stargardt disease, which James has had since the age of 8, and James is 17 now and looks very smart as a young 17-year-old, may I say. But what is Stargardt disease? It's a chronic eye condition which essentially means that you partially lose your sight. And of course, for James thought about being a top footballer like his dad was. So he's had to cope with that, but he's doing not bad in the world of football, as you're about to find out. Here's a clip from the documentary.
He's desperate to be involved in football, desperate to love football, but he can't see anyone.
Michael Owen and his son James are discovering another side to the beautiful game.
I've never met anyone before with visual impairments where it can't be fixed with glasses.
Following a unique team.
We have to make good decisions under pressure, and that's the responsibility that comes with being an England player.
On a mission for World Cup glory.
It's about changing lives and changing perceptions.
Football is for everyone. Coming soon to TNT Sports and Discovery Plus.
So, we've got this documentary to look forward to, and I, for one, will be watching it. Michael, James, you're really welcome in here. James, I want to start with you. I mean, it's a chronic eye condition. You discovered you had it at the age of 8. Can you talk us through it and what's it's involved regards your life?
Oh, well, obviously it's a massive impact to my life because it's one of your main senses you use day to day. But I have a great family which has helped me support the whole way through. But I got diagnosed quite young, like 8. I can't really remember anything from 8, but I do remember how it made me feel. I don't remember actually getting diagnosed. But I remember coming back from school, like sometimes upset, and my dad's definitely helped me through them times. And now I don't almost ever think about my eyesight as much anymore. It's almost just something I deal with, and you have to crack on either way. These are the cards I've been dealt. And I mean, it's great to spread awareness. I think it's very important, actually, but it definitely shouldn't let it identify who you are.
It's impacted your life for sure, though.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And you wanted to be a top player like your dad.
I mean, every kid wants to be a top player. It's just a dream everyone has. I think, obviously, it being so close to home that it's a massive inspiration, isn't it, having a dad who used to play as well as he did. And I used to play all right when I was very young, but obviously just positioning, I was just not very good at. So over a long time, I kind of distanced myself from football, and I'm more focused on business now.
Michael, how's it been coping with you and your wife with what James has got? What's it been like for you as parents?
Well, nowadays it's part of life, isn't it? I mean, it's a little bit strange actually talking about it because I've never stood on top of the rooftops and said, "Oh, my son's got this condition."
I didn't know this about James.
Really.
No.
And it's only when we got asked to do a documentary that we thought, yeah, let's do that. It'll be a positive, and you see all the benefits from it in terms of spreading awareness and all the rest of it. It's just life, It's making news now, I suppose, because of the documentary and because we're speaking about it. But this is something that we've had as a family. With James's eyesight for since he was born, really. Yes, it presented itself at 8, but he was born with it. Myself, and it's a genetic disease that obviously myself and my wife have got this cross with our genetic profile. So and obviously it's presented itself in this way. But no, James had struggles when he was a kid. He was a bloody good footballer. I mean, used to say to Louise, listen, our lad's got a chance here. He just couldn't position himself. As he said, when the ball was with the right back, he didn't know where to stand. I was like, cut the ball off into the striker's feet. And he's like, I don't know where to,
but he like, shut up, Dad.
He didn't know he had this problem, of course. He's born with it, so he knows no different.
Yeah.
So that it's been obviously something that we've lived with forever. We have to take into consideration sometimes. But all intents and purposes, he's just a normal kid. And if we didn't tell you he had an eye problem, you would never, ever guess. He's got amazing coping strategies to deal with it.
It's an incredible story. I mean, it affects 1 in 10,000 people, James. It affects a small part of the retina needed for sharp central vision. So you've got vision up to a point, and I can imagine the way you've just perfectly described it. When you're trying to position yourself in a football pitch, that's when you run into trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty impossible for me to be able to play mainstream with like professionals, because it's when the pitch gets even bigger and bigger, and the play gets faster, and you need to rely on passing more. I think that's where I lost enjoyment out of it. But yeah, it is what it is, really, isn't it? It's like not much you can do. Just crack on.
You just crack on.
Yeah.
But tell me, though, about how you've dealt with it in terms of being able to play. Because you play for the England partially sighted futsal team.
Yeah, I mean, that was... when I thought of visually impaired football, I just presumed it was people in blindfolds with a bell and a ball. And I think that's what a lot of people still believe that it is, but that's actually not the case. The standard is actually really high, and it's just like football, but just five-a-side, a smaller pitch. And that was really what I was wanting, because it helped with the problems I had. It was the problems was the pitch getting too big, having to rely on positioning a lot more. And don't get me wrong, you still have to rely on positioning, but the pitch is small enough to where you know where people are, and it is like a great sport. But the standard was just absolutely blew me away.
James got invited during the documentary that was filming to train with the England team, and I mean, it was just incredible. I would go as far to say if you put 4 Premier League players out there playing on the pitch with these lads, they'd give them an absolute game. I mean, it's a same sport, it's still football, but tactically you're only playing 4v4. The ball's a bit heavier. It's quite incredible how good they are. And I think it was quite a shock to the system for James to play with players that are so good.
And you, Michael, get involved as any parent would, watch them from the sidelines.
Well, I wasn't going to play myself when I saw the standard.
Really?
It's really good.
It's super
and it was
good.
a fantastic, to obviously James's condition, it will make headlines. It brings us here today to spread the word in many ways, but it's also great for the sport itself. These players are very talented in their own right, and filming the documentary, having or following a team as well. We followed them to the World Cup. They got to the World Cup final and incredibly got beat in the last second by Ukraine. I think it was 3-2 in the end. It was
spoiled the whole documentary.
But it was an incredible story. And we love following the team, and James made a lot of friends and could obviously relate to a lot of people in the team as well, which was important for him.
So how long were the cameras following you for the documentary, James?
Well, it was actually quite a while, because it was during COVID, so it got pushed back a bit. There was some recording on the documentary where I was actually like 15, and I'm nearly 18 now, so I definitely look a lot different. I sound a lot different. And I'd like to think that doing the documentary has helped me like grow as a person, helped me be more comfortable in front of a camera, and a lot of those things. But apart from that, it was just a great experience. Just the whole 3 years, or however many years it was. I met a lot of nice people, met a lot of friends, had a good few games of football. It was just, I can't say anything wrong about it. It was honestly just a surreal experience.
I'm looking forward to seeing the documentary, Simon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the statistics and thinking, so there's 6,500 people in this country that have this particular predicament. And if you go around the world, it looks like there's about 6.5 million people. Because I've never heard of it. I mean, how much of the sight is lost, Michael?
Yeah, James's peripheral vision is okay. It's seeing detail. So if he's, or if you're him, let's say, then you would see 2 people here,
right?
But he wouldn't know which
he
is
wouldn't be able to
which is
describe the
which. So he can't see detail, and it's very hard for him to explain what he does see, because he doesn't really know. Of course, he knows what he's seeing, but he doesn't know any different, as you say. So it's very difficult. But then when I see the doctors and the specialists, and they say, well, this is something like what your son is seeing, and they, show you a picture, that's when it hits home. You think, wow. So, yeah, I mean, but as I say, it's something that we live with. We take positives from.
Does it enhance any of the other senses? The fact that you're challenged by, does it enhance any of the other senses that you have?
Well, I get asked that question quite a lot, and I do actually believe it does. Not necessarily, I don't believe that it makes me be able to hear stuff louder or better than others, but I do think that because I'm less reliant on my eyes, I pay more attention on my other senses. So let's say there's a noise in the background. I feel like because I'm more paying attention to it, I'll be able to pick it up before they would. I wouldn't say if we'd done like a test, who can hear the best. I don't think that, but I do think that I paid more attention to it.
It's incredible when you know, I took James skiing once, and straight away, he himself has to recognise, through sight in a way, but obviously he's not great sight, but he's recognising, right, if I get lost on that big, wide, open slope with thousands of people there, what do I do? Where do I go? So little things like that, he will pick up before anyone. His coping strategies are just incredible. It was probably a cruel thing to do because white is an awful colour for James. He can't see any contrast. So, at the start he was bombing down there, and all of a sudden he went over this jump, and I just saw my son that didn't have a clue he was about to go over a jump, doing about 3 somersaults in the air, and he's gone down the wrong track, and all of a sudden I'm like, right, you have to follow me for the rest of the... Which, we laugh about it, but it's these things that bring you close together. I mean, he can't drive, of course, he can't see, it'd be a danger on the road. I'm going to probably be his driver for the next few years, and things like that. It brings us closer together. So we always look at positives. I mean, we certainly don't mope around. I think you did a bit of moping when you were really young, but now there's no ounce of feeling sorry for himself at all.
Which is brilliant. Football is for everyone. It premieres on TNT Sports at 1 o'clock on January the 30th, and is also available on Discovery Plus. Michael and James are going to stay with us, Simon, the other side of the 10:30 bulletin. James, just before we head to the bulletin, I want you to have the last word in this part. What do you hope is the biggest takeaway that people will have from the documentary?
Well, I'll just love for there to be more awareness to the sport. I do think that people just automatically assume that it's less quality, and a lot of my people I met there, I'm now good friends, and I just love how much it's impacted them, and just it's really put a smile on their face just being part of it and spreading awareness to stuff they dedicate their life to and enjoy.
Excellent. Many people get in touch, Michael and James, as they listen to us in talkSPORT this morning. There's one there. Good morning, guys. I have Stargardt's disease. It wasn't picked up until 17 after playing for a football academy for 7 years. It's impacted my life on a day-to-day basis, but now at 32, I'm part qualified as an accountant. And I absolutely agree with James and Michael. It just becomes part of your life, and you do your best to cope with it. And there's Sam. Sam, good morning to you. Of course, I'll read this out. Morning, Jim, Simon, James, I'm listening to you. And I'm listening to you, Michael. It's so inspirational. James, you're a lovely young man. And I want to reach out and wish you all the very best for the future. I will be watching the documentary. Michael, thanks for everything you did in the world of football. This is what happens on talkSPORT, James. Everybody listens to what we say. He and I get into trouble regularly because of what he says. But I joke. It is great to have you in here this morning.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.